Disney's latest entry in the iconic science fiction franchise, Tron Ares, has arrived in theaters with spectacular visual effects and a pulsating 9-inch nails soundtrack, but it's also brought a wave of critical and audience division that reveals deeper problems at the heart of this ambitious sequel. Directed by Norwegian filmmaker Joachim Rønning and starring Jared Leto, Greta Lee, Evan Peters, and Jeff Bridges, the film premiered on October 6, 2025, and was released theatrically on October 10th. With a production budget of $180 million, Tron Ares represents a significant gamble for Disney, one that appears to have fallen short both critically and commercially. 15 years after the events of Tron Legacy, the film centers on Ares, Jared Leto, a highly sophisticated program created by Julian Dillinger, grandson of the original film's antagonist, Ed Dillinger. In a reversal of the franchise's established formula, Ares is sent from the digital grid into the physical world, marking humanity's first encounter with artificial intelligence beings. The narrative revolves around the Permanence Code, a MacGuffin developed by Kevin Flynn that would allow digital constructs to exist in the real world beyond their current 29-minute lifespan. Incom CEO Eve Kim races against Dillinger systems to secure this code, leading to a chase across both digital and physical realms when Ares begins to develop consciousness and questions his programming. The critical response to Tron Ares has been decidedly mixed. The film currently holds a 55% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, with the critical consensus reading, "A sensory feast of vivid neon hues and a hypnotic soundtrack, Tron Ares is gorgeous to behold, but too narratively programmatic to achieve an authentic human dimension." On Metacritic, it sits at 48 out of 100, indicating mixed or average reviews. However, audiences have responded far more enthusiastically, awarding the film an 87% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the highest-rated Tron film by fans, surpassing both the original, 69%, and Tron Legacy, 64%. This represents one of the widest gaps between critics and audiences in recent memory. The film's visual effects are universally praised as its strongest element. Visual effects supervisor David Seeger and his team treated the project as a holy grail of computer graphics, utilizing practical effects whenever possible. The team achieved remarkable results by filming actual stunt riders on modified electric Harley-Davidson motorcycles representing light cycles, complete with LED lighting rigs, before digitally enhancing them in post-production. This approach grounded the fantastical elements in physical reality, creating believable integration between the digital grid and the real world. In following in the footsteps of Wendy Carlos from 1982's Tron and Daft Punk from Tron Legacy, 9-Inch Nails, credited as Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, delivered a soundtrack that many critics consider the film's standout element. Released on September 19, 2025, the 24-track album represents the duo's first film score credited under their band name rather than their individual names. Departing from Daft Punk's orchestral approach in Legacy, Reznor and Ross created a precise and unpleasant at times electronic score with no orchestral material, designed to function both as film music and as a conventional 9-Inch Nails album. The lead single, As Alive as You Need Me to Be, became a highlight of the marketing campaign. The industrial, pulsating score elevated an otherwise mediocre film and captured the essence of the franchise's themes. The most consistent criticism leveled at Tron Ares centers on Jared Leto's performance as the titular character. His portrayal is wooden, one-note, and lacking the emotional depth required for the character's arc from programmed soldier to sentient being. Beyond Leto's performance, the screenplay itself drew substantial criticism. Multiple reviews described the plot as rushed and underdeveloped, formulaic, and reminiscent of Terminator 2 without that film's emotional resonance. The narrative's central problem is the Permanence Code MacGuffin, which feels contrived and creates confusing continuity issues with Tron Legacy. Critics noted that while Legacy established that programs like Quora could exist in the real world indefinitely, Ares introduces an arbitrary 29-minute limitation that seems designed solely to create artificial stakes. User reviews on Metacritic and IMDb repeatedly cite weak dialogue, generic character archetypes, and a tech bro villain in Evan Peters' Julian Dillinger that feels dated and uninspired. The script's attempt to explore themes of AI consciousness and what it means to be human is considered heavy-handed and lacking nuance. Beyond Ares, most characters in the film are described as bland stereotypes with insufficient development. Despite Greta Lee's acclaimed work in past lives, her Eve Kim is described as emotionless and robotic by some reviewers, though others praised her performance and physical commitment to the action sequences. The general consensus suggests the weak script prevented even talented actors from creating memorable characters. Jeff Bridges' return as Kevin Flynn amounts to little more than a cameo, with the legendary programmer only appearing briefly as a digital consciousness on his primitive grid. Gillian Anderson and Hassan Minhaj are similarly wasted in minor roles. Tron Ares emerges as a deeply flawed but technically impressive entry in the franchise. It succeeds as a visual and auditory spectacle, the kind of film best experienced on the largest screen with the most powerful sound system available. The visual effects are state-of-the-art, the cinematography is striking, and the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack is genuinely excellent. However, these technical achievements cannot compensate for weak storytelling, one-dimensional characters, and a miscast lead performance that fails to provide the emotional anchor the narrative requires. The film's exploration of AI consciousness and humanity feels superficial compared to superior works like Blade Runner 2049 or even its own predecessors. For hardcore Tron fans willing to prioritize spectacle over substance, Ares delivers enough neon-soaked action and fan service to warrant a theatrical viewing. For general audiences expecting a complete cinematic experience with compelling characters and meaningful themes, the film is likely to disappoint. The stark divide between critical reception and audience scores suggests that expectations matter significantly. Those approaching Tron Ares as a sensory experience to be enjoyed, rather than a narrative to be analyzed, seem far more satisfied than those seeking emotional depth or thematic sophistication. Ultimately, Tron Ares is a beautifully rendered but hollow storytelling, where every frame looks incredible, but the human and artificial elements at its core never quite come alive. It's a film that might look spectacular on your wall as a poster, but struggles to leave a lasting impression in your heart or mind.
To be seen on the biggest IMAX screen possible.
That never gets old.
Tron Ares, rated PG-13, now playing only in theaters.